the week wouldn't be a week in the Trump era if there wasn't some insane lunatic associated with the Trump administration and campaign in some fashion imploding on television. It seems like we get at least one of these a month. And this week's candidate was a guy named Sam Nunberg. Nunberg was had a long time association with Donald Trump. He was a Roger Stone protege. In fact, refers to Roger Stone as his surrogate dad. Okay. There's a documentary out there where you can actually see Sam Nunberg talking about being at the WWE and meeting Donald Trump and being awed by him when he was a small boy. It's very strange. And the guy had been floating around. He was an advisor who was let go because, of course, as a Trump advisor, he had the requisite social media postings that were racist and problematic. And so he had been let go. And but apparently he was privy to some information during the campaign. And he was subpoenaed, I guess, over the weekend or maybe the Friday before. The grand jury was looking for, the Mueller grand jury was looking for emails that he had sent to a list of people. And then something went horribly wrong. And on, Monday of this week, he went on an impromptu media tour that was, I don't know, just bizarre. I mean, what do you make of that? I know you wrote about it. What do you make of this whole Sam Nunberg thing?
Well, it's interesting to me because I think, Nunberg, first of all, let's just, stipulate. Nunberg was hanging around Trump since about 2011, and Roger Stone brought him in to the Trump orbit. And he and Roger Stone and Michael Cohen, Trump's personal lawyer, were the people who prepped Trump for his run. And they were prepping him for a long time. From that period, of 2011, he went through 2012, kind of flirted, remember, with the birther thing and was flirting with running, and then he didn't do it. And then they just continued that. I mean, this is something I think, it's like Trump said the other day, he tweeted, I didn't even know I was running in 2014 as part of the Russia indictments where it went back to 2014. I didn't even know, how could it be about me? Well, everybody knew he was running in 2014. He was talking about it. He was flirting with running for governor of New York and, all of this. Anyway, Nunberg and Stone were Trump's tutors in far right-wing politics. And Nunberg was the guy who listened to hours of talk radio and came and brought him all the stuff and brought him all these issues, the wall, immigration, Common Core, all this stuff that Trump, was blabbing about without having any idea what he was talking about on the campaign trail. And so Nunberg was a very influential person in that regard. He was fired, I think, because I think he's essentially an unstable person. Who knows what really went on there? Or I think Roger, however, was let go because he was going to be much more useful on the outside of the campaign than on the inside, because that's what Roger Stone does. He is a dirty trickster and a rat effer of high renown. In fact, he's one of the guys who invented that whole line of political,
for Nixon,
dark arts for Nixon, and has been doing it ever since. I mean, he was down in Florida for the recount. He was part of the Elliot Spitzer thing. I mean, he's been doing this stuff forever. In any case, Nunberg, who has, sort of been in and out, and apparently on Monday when he did this tour of all the shows, it was revealed by all these reporters that Nunberg has been a major source for a lot of them, although they all say we never rely on anything he says. It has to be corroborated by 3 other people. But he has been right at times, and part of what came out was that he's been in touch with Trump through this entire period. So Mueller came and said, Mueller interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, and he and Nunberg went on Ari Melber's show on MSNBC and said, it was a very professional interview. The taxpayers' money isn't being wasted. We're very impressive people, blah, blah, blah. It was a very civilized sort of, description of what was going on. Well, then he gets this subpoena, which is asking him for all these emails between him, Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, Donald Trump, and a bunch of other people, including Hope Hicks, and he went ballistic. Well, as the day wore on and he kept doing these interviews on Monday, it became clear to me that this is all about Roger Stone. Roger Stone, whom you correctly said he described as his mentor, a father figure, et cetera, et cetera. Roger Stone is in the crosshairs of Robert Mueller. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He has been involved with WikiLeaks. He's been, involved with Guccifer 2.0, one of the original hackers. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there that indicates that he was at some level some kind of a go-between.
Right.
And I think that's what panicked Nunberg. And Nunberg apparently has a little bit of a drinking problem. He's going to go into rehab and he did end up complying with the subpoena and saying that he will appear before the grand jury, which I think is at the end of this week. In any case, what this indicates is this is just another sign of what's going on, which is that all the pundits, all the Washington, D.C. reporters, everybody is saying that the White House is in total chaos. Nunberg is an example of, one of the more unhinged outsiders who got caught in that chaos. But it's happening everywhere, and Trump himself is showing this, and that's because there are all these threads of the investigation. It's no longer just about, why did you fire James Comey, which I think everybody understood that, Trump could theoretically come up with a reason that didn't have to do with the Russia investigation, even though he said it on TV.
Right.
But all this other stuff, this is money coming from, foreign countries, and you've got the UAE and Saudi Arabia, and you've got, all of this stuff is starting to happen, and they are folding under the pressure. That's what's going on. Nunberg being just sort of the canary in the coal mine for the whole operation, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to measure because I feel like every week we have spoken to each other over the course of the past year and a half. We have said it looks like Donald Trump is breaking, and I'm not sure there's enough humanity inside him to break, but certainly around him, people are leaving the administration in an unprecedented manner. I mean, last week it was Hope Hicks, and then also Jared Kushner. His name escapes me, but Jared Kushner's right-hand PR guy also left last week. Got less reported than Hope Hicks, but just as much of a key player in that White House. And this week, and when we come back, we'll talk about this. Gary Cohn announces his resignation. We heard also, I think at the end of last week, that McMaster is about to go. We will talk more about this when we return. And we should also add, when we come back, we're going to talk about this Stormy Daniels suit, which I have to say, I find absolutely fascinating. And the question isn't what is Stormy Daniels going to reveal as much as why does the Trump administration and Trump Inc. seem to care so much about it at this point? We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. I'm talking to the great Digby, Heather Parton. I'm Sam Seder. This is Ring of Fire Radio.